It's gun time, I guess. Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're gonna have a look at the figma number 518. It's ToshoLincho-san, if I pronounced that correctly, from the Arms Note series, which, you know, I got the long range Joshi Kose a while ago, but other than that, I haven't really been following that line. But with this release, you got a whole bunch of amazing stuff. This armory that she comes with, quite frankly, is insane. That's why I picked her up, and let's have a look at it. This figure stands at about 14.2 centimeters, a little bit taller for your figma size, and 5.5, almost 6 inches tall. Size comparisons. Here's Jalter, NECA, Michelangelo, Mafax, Hush, Figma, Ich, and Darkside. Overall look in detail for this one, I love the idea of the armored schoolgirl going on. That's, you know, you have a couple of those, and I always say it, I get like a little bit of a Metal Gear vibe, especially on the armor. Even though it's just the first thing that pops into my mind. It's like anime plus Metal Gear. That's how we're gonna call this one. First and foremost, the eyes on this one. Oh my god, I love the dark blue in there with just like a little bit of brighter spots here and there. And then you have the hair sculpt, which is fairly simple, but it does look good. Makes for the overall look. And then the paint on it. I can confirm that most of the paint on this one is clean. I didn't really have any trouble with it. You know, QC issues with Figma, that happens all the time, but on this one, it's good. It's also like a multi-tone kind of thing going on, because on one hand you have her clothing, her regular shirt under it, which is like a matte, nice, really shiny white. And then you have the armor parts, which are like a dark blue or like grayish. It's shiny, is a little bit metallic. You have some sparkles in there to really bring it out. And I feel like it really works super well together. And you have a little bit of gold on the lower half. Same for the back. There's like some mechanical detail in there. Yeah, there's a little fly over here, which I just have to add. Like the white lines on there is pretty clean. I mean, this one looks a little bit weird, but it's fine. Like the small issues I have with the paint are really almost not worth mentioning. There's like a lot of a brighter spot in the front part of her armor, the forearms. You got the hands with some gloves on there, down to the hips, and those hips definitely do not lie, because oh boy, she thick, and it's not just because of the armor. Before I thought like, oh, it's just like, look at her thighs, that's just the armor, but it kind of like cradles nicely around it. We Pervin get bonked. I get bonked all the time, so there's nothing wrong with that. You have some holes in there and some holes on the side of her thighs, which is for the accessories. We'll get to that in a second. And then we have some more gold detail, the armor plates on the thighs and the knees. Oof, I can't wait to show you this articulation also, by the way. There's a lot of good stuff in this one. Down to her shoes, which again is armored. Have some toe hinges on there and a little bit more gray. But yeah, overall, this design really freaking speaks to me, and I love it. Now the other thing I really love, and I gotta give him credit for, is the articulation. Because first and foremost, the hat, well, that's standard stuff. You have the big ball hinge in there that ends on another ball in the back of the hat, goes back and forth. Does tilt side to side, and does go all the way around. Then you have these shoulder pieces, which are on tiny, tiny ball joints in the back. Just be careful not to break them off, but you can lift it up, and you can rotate it out a little bit to get it out of the way, so that doesn't hinder your articulation whatsoever. Now the shoulder, oh, it's just like the classic kind of ball hinge, goes into another ball in the chest. Well, no, you have that, and then you have a butterfly joint on a Figma. What? Haven't seen that before. So that goes up all the way, like more than usual. And again, you can rotate this entire piece in there. It's not as movable as much with the ball joint in the chest, but the butterfly joint makes up for a lot, so you can bring it forward very nicely, especially for some weapon poses, which is important. And this also works as a swivel, so then you have the ball hinge in the elbow, moves up all the way, and you can a little bit of rotation in there, but the way it's molded, don't push it too far, otherwise you break it off. I had that problem. Ball hinge in the hand, back and forth motion, and also swivels. The chest area is super nimble. I mean, like, you know, it does get gappy in the back, but that doesn't matter. You can still hide it. Considering you have the big chest plate, that's already a lot more than I expected. However, it doesn't really go that much to the back because I didn't leave a big gap in the armor in the back, but then it would have looked bad. So it does also tilt side to side very nicely, and it does rotate around. I would be careful not to scratch the white. Haven't had any trouble with the paint, but I'd still be careful with that because like white and this kind of dark armor can get messy, I feel like, if you're playing around with it too much. Then the hip area, you can rotate it a little bit. Back and forth motion is not the greatest. This piece, the belt kinda is not floaty. I feel like it's connected somewhere, but it is soft plastic, so again, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't get in the way, and the lower hip part also has some rotation and wiggle motion side to side. Then for the legs, this is one where you can pull it down on the hinge, so we can bring it forward very nicely for a high kick. Moves out to the side as it disconnects. That's not part of the video. Moves out to the side nice enough, and it does move to the back, and then you zip it back on there, and you can also rotate it anyway. You don't have a thigh swivel. What you do have is a knee swivel, and also double hinge knees, like again on a Figma, outrageous. And you also have the knee pad, which kind of moves around with it, does cover it up decently enough, and I feel like the most important part is that the ball joints are big enough to cover up, you know, the articulation, so it doesn't look too wonky in the knee. And then for your foot, does move forward, does move to the back, and you have rotation all the way around, a pivot somewhat. I think you can move the ball in there probably. It's kind of hard to get on it, but you could rotate that around for a better pivot, and then you have a toe hinge to round it off. If you like guns, this is probably gonna make you horny, and I'm gonna start off with the biggest weapon of them all. It is her railgun, the Star Blazer, as the name says on it. There's so much detail on this thing. I love the futuristic style of it. I love the tiny writing. You have some gray, you have some black, and you have some silver parts, and like a little bit of red here and there. You have tons of parts of this gun that you can just flip out and move around with it. You have, let's start at the back, you have this entire thing which you can fold in. Then you have all the magazines of all the guns can be removed, but they do stay in very nicely. It's not like a fumbly affair. Actually getting it back in is a little bit of trouble. You have this kind of screen which you can flip out. If I can do it right there, there you go. Looks amazing for targeting. And then you have the front piece. You have this tripod or monopod or whatever you call it, which is a single piece which you can move around, and it just pegs into this elongated part which you just flip together. And then you have the gun as itself. Wow, I spent a minute on the gun, but that's how amazing it is. Then you have these electromagnetic tonfa style batons. Again, it looks very futuristic. It looks cool. I love the design. I love the idea of it. Have some detail on there, like some tiny writing again going on all throughout it. Then you have what they call Volts R224S rifles. Yeah, that's... I looked up the names. I did my homework. Yeah, but the rifles look, again, amazing. This is something all like for little armory fans. This is a treat. This is something unique. This is something cool. Also, again, can remove the clips on both of these. For these pieces, you have the mounts for holstering the guns and the tonfas, which just attach to the belt. That's why we have the holes in the belt. They also look a little bit futuristic. Have a minor amount of detail. The tonfas just kind of slide into this one. I don't know, I can't see crap under my camera. It's so dark. It's not like I have a ring light around it. This camera sucks. Anyway, you have a book because like she's the library's assistant, right? You have some signs in there, and whatever the hell that means. It's a big red sun. Japan, right? Then we have some hands. You got the open hands, you got the trigger finger hands, which the trigger finger is straight. Then you got the regular holding hands and the fist hands, and you also get like another trigger finger where it's a little bit bent, and another holding hand where I think it's the hold is a bit bigger than it was for the other ones. And finally, I do have the faces, closed eyes, and the kind of, I don't know what this face is, kind of wondering, mischievous, questioning. I love the eyes. I just love the eyes in this figure. Also, by the way, like there's your standard additions to every Figma. You got the base of the base, the arm to put that in the back of the figure, then the extra piece which you don't have to use, and a replacement part for the wrists, and finally you also get a Figma bag to store your accessories. As for the weapon storage, I just want to show you this extra. You have this little peg hole, just slide it on there. Well, not really slide, just push it on there. And by the way, you can store this on either side. I mean, the instructions say to have this on the side of the thighs and to have the other one on the guns, but I've tried it out, and the peg holes kind of do go in both of them. I didn't have any trouble. It goes in there. but it also goes in the back, just to show you that. So you can swap it around as much as you like. As for the guns, you have this piece. By the way, for the tonfas, they're on ball joints, but for the guns, it's just on a peg. So guns only move up and down, and also you have this hole on the top. Just put it on there, and there you go. Nice and sturdy in there for displaying all of the guns. Final thoughts, and yeah, the stance and everything is pretty much overload, but I just wanted to see if she can hold everything. Even without the base, you know, the guns don't have too much weight to it, so it does work. She can hold it, even like with one hand, but then again, the joints might get a little bit sore after that. But yeah, this figure is 100% recommended. I love this figure. It's a figure and a half, like with all the accessories already you're getting. Some of the updated articulation that they made better for this one in particular, it's amazing. The paint job on my end also is very, very clean on this one, and I have zero complaints. The only idea I would add is, like, I kind of find it weird to have a high school girl with like so many weapons and not a single angry face. It's just kind of like she has all these happy faces. I guess maybe that's like the idea behind the character, but yeah. That's not a complaint, that was just an idea. Absolutely recommended otherwise. This figure is amazing. This is one of the best Figmas I've had in my hands. And yes, it is a little bit more pricey, but considering what you're getting with it, oh my god, I love it. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever ToshoIincho-san wants.